All right, so you have hit record.
I have.
Dear listener, thank you for listening to the Savor the Burn podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan. Across from me is still Mr. Wizard Fingers, W2. And, once again, thank you for listening to us on your podcast app of choice. Thank you for checking us out on all the socials, most especially YouTube. We invite your emails, info, or Jonathan, or W2 at savortheburn.com. And speaking of savortheburn.com, check out that fucking website. Constantly being updated, upgraded. It's got lots of cool stuff in it. And for this episode, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, we are going to try a good, it's a benchmark cocktail to measure all whiskeys and bourbons and scotches, whatever spirit you want to throw in it. If all things being equal, the old-fashioned is the standard.
Yeah.
We've tried plenty of other cocktails by different names, different ingredients, but when it comes down to its simplest form, what was it? We watched a video. One of us sent the other one the video. In its simplest form, an old fashioned is like simple syrup, bourbon or whiskey or whatever, ice, however much or however little you want, and some kind of garnish like a lemon, orange, or a cherry.
It's the cocktail that allows the whiskey, the spirit, to shine.
Yep. And so the spirit that we wanted to try shine was from a previous episode you've heard, but the Michter's Sour Mash. Maybe that's where I was going to mess up. Michter's Shower Shash. Mustache Cash Stash.
Thuffer and Thuckatash.
Oh, God. Is that Sylvester, the cat?
Yes.
Suffer and Thuckercat. Fucking bird. Despicable. Good
Yeah. After trying the bourbon and the sour mash, we kind of unanimously came to the conclusion that I've done the bourbon as a old fashioned numerous times. I have not done an old fashioned with the sour mash.
Yeah, and since this podcast is all about new experiences,
right? And we both gave that one a slightly higher rating than the bourbon. So this is a sour mash old fashioned.
Yeah, and that's like nothing against the bourbon. The bourbon is
it's stellar.
The bourbon's it's fantastic by itself. It wasn't a 10. We don't know what a 10 is.
Right.
I know what a 15 is, and it's a cocktail.
With that Tennessee.
That Tennessee was a part of it. And I believe that Weller that you gave me has some of the barley kind of undertones in the flavor profile, just like that Tennessee bourbon whiskey had. So maybe I'll get one of those bar toolkits from the Savor the Burn store affiliate link through Amazon. And maybe I'll have one of those sent to my house just so I can drop an egg white in there and shake the shit out of it. And you double strained that, didn't you?
Yes.
All right, so that was a long time ago. There's video, there's audio. Check it out. Definitely my favorite as of yet, I think. But both the snake bites were really good. All right, so focus. Focus. Bring it back.
Cocktail.
Do this thing. This thing with the hand. Focus. I'm focused. All right, so we're bringing it back to this cocktail, the Savor the Burn old-fashioned cocktail featuring Michter's Sour Mash. What all do we have in this ingredient list?
Our old-fashioned that, I kind of just recap an old story, but what was that going on 2 years now?
I hope it's a rocktail.
It kind of is a rocktail. It kind of is.
We haven't had a rocktail in a while. This is supposed to be a podcast of cocktails and rocktails. Now that we have a cocktail, let's hear the rocktail.
That's right. Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, so our discovering each other's mutual love of whiskeys kind of really started. I think it was before this, but it really kind of got kicked off in 2000. Was that 2000? I guess it was just last year.
2018, 2019. I think I tagged you in something involving the.
Well, I'm referring to our band photo.
Oh, the band photo? Okay.
Band, a little bit over, a year ago.
Yeah, right at about a year and a half.
We did band photos down in the West Bottoms, and afterwards it was like 11:45, and we're like, hey,
it's a great time to start day drinking.
It's happy hour somewhere, so
We found out where.
Most of the band found their way down to the West Bottom Whiskey Company, and we had their magnificent, quote-unquote, world's best old-fashioned. Took that home, and after
deconstructing that cocktail,
yapping at our waitress and figuring out what all makes it the world's best, and recreated it, and then I've kind of evolved it here and there along the way. So long story short, it has our whiskey in there. It has a spoonful of Demerara syrup that I made myself.
That was more than a spoonful.
It was. Well, you got to think too that bar spoon is not very big. It is.
Right.
It is smaller than a teaspoon.
So we're looking at maybe a tablespoon.
Well, tablespoon is larger than teaspoon.
Right.
So
you poured it into the spoon, and while you were pouring the spoon out, you were still pouring. And then you filled the spoon up again. And then I think that was it.
In the mixing glass, though, I made a double for both of ours. So there was 2 spoonfuls. So for one heaping spoonful, a generous spoonful.
Generous, I like that term.
I feel like doing it that way, it is less than a half ounce, but still more than just a smidge.
Yeah.
Lack of a better word. Anyway, many episodes ago, after kind of getting called out for using a store-bought simple syrup, I jumped into making my own simple syrup. And when I did that, I just happened to have Demerara sugar cubes on hand. So I decided to make a Demerara rich syrup, to which I've seen the Thirsty Whale. He has tons of amazing videos, but he has one specifically on making the greatest old-fashioned ever. And he states in there, to use I think he lists off a maple syrup, or if you can have it or find it, a Demerara syrup or whatever. So anyway, and anyone who knows me, and we've talked about on this podcast to long lengths, I have always been, and for the longest time, have been a true believer in using maple syrup as my sweetener for an old-fashioned. And after making a Demerara syrup and then making an old-fashioned and finding the right balance of ingredients, I have not used maple syrup in my old-fashioned
As much as I love 100% pure maple syrup, like, I'm floored that you would say you've got a new standard for sweeteners, and cocktail sweeteners.
So we have that. We've also got 3 dashes of chocolate bitters, Aztec chocolate bitters to be exact, and then a dash of orange bitters to give it just a little pop of citrus.
A little bit of brightness to it. And both of those are the same company. What was the company name?
Those are... grab the bottle over. Or actually, they're not the same. Fee Brothers is the Aztec chocolate, but then my orange bitters is the
Angostura.
Angostura.
Yeah, Angostura. Hopefully, I got the right emphasis on the right syllables. Orange bitters, and like you said, Fee Brothers Aztec chocolate bitters. Both of which you can get for roughly what, $10?
Yeah.
$10 a bottle, and it comes out by the dash.
The Angostura
lasts a long time.
Is the brand that you see in every grocery store, every liquor store for their aromatic bitters, and then orange bitters and aromatic bitters are the 2 products that they are most known for.
And they have lots of others, cherry, peach.
Thanks to Amazon, I discovered Fee Brothers, and coincidentally, a lot of the different smaller distilleries that we've tried, Iron Smoke being one of them, Von Payne being one of them, a lot of them that we've run across call out Fee Brothers specifically by brand. And so anyway, I've tried a few of those. The Aztec Chocolates was the first one that I got from them, but since then I've expanded the bitters collection pretty substantially. So I have a lot of Fee Brothers stuff. And then the Angostura, orange, and aromatic bitters are still my originals that I've had forever.
And since starting this podcast, I just started collecting bitters. So I've got some Aztec chocolate, got some, I don't know if I have orange, but I definitely have the original bitters, the aromatic bitters, and some cherry, and I think there's another one. It might be orange for all I know. But
so we finished off this cocktail with garnishing with a dehydrated orange slice.
Which
So I went ahead
like
and yeah, it looks nice. It actually, it adds a lot to the cocktail, we feel. I went ahead and also cut myself a nice orange swath off of a fresh orange to express, and then swab the rim of the glass with the orange oils, and then topped it all off with that infamous Woodford Reserve barrel-aged cherry.
So good.
And on that note...
Yeah, on that note, thank you, Mr. W2, for putting such a beautiful cocktail together. It really is beautiful just to look at. It's sweet. It's bright citrus. I can taste the chocolate from those bitters. Not right at first, but it's on the palate. Later in the palate and into the finish. I love big square ice cubes. They don't melt so fast.
Right.
So you can
Thank goodness.
Right, because
we're sitting here yapping.
Sitting here bumping the gums talking about it instead of doing something about it. But that's very good.
The grains in that sour mash
really
come through.
You'd be hard pressed to. I mean, you know what? In the rye kind of flavor profile at the end of the sour mash palate, it comes through right before the chocolate bitters come in and just kind of finish you off.
Yeah,
this is a great cocktail. Oh, we've got a rating on this one too to do.
Well, I missed it on the last cocktail info sheet, so I made a point to put it on this one. And speaking of chocolate, I'm going to get into this peanut butter brownie.
So, when it comes to cocktails, I think I'm more jazzed, more excited, more giving with my compliments or whatever when it comes to cocktails. I mean, because if we did a 1 to 10 on some of these cocktails, some of them are over a 10. So I'm trying to rein myself back. Let's see, give myself a 1 to 10. All right. So if I'm thinking if I took this cocktail and I served it to friends and family, I would expect each and every one of them to have the same reaction. Well, except for Jennifer. She doesn't really do alcohol. She doesn't really drink. That said, for those that don't drink, I serve them something else, which is fine if you don't drink. For those that do, and I serve you this cocktail, I would expect you to like it at least, 80% of everybody would have a 8 out of 10 rating. Unless you don't really like them sweet. If you don't like chocolate. If you, for whatever reason, don't really care for citrus. Or if just breathing isn't your thing. If you wake up every day with a bitter face on your ugly mug, then you're probably not going to like this. But if you're, a regular dudette, they or them, and you enjoy a cocktail, I think you're going to love this sumbitch. Because I'll give my rating while you're doing your math, your division. I gave it all 5s. I gave it all 5 because it's got everything I like. It's got chocolate, it's got sweet, it's got citrus, it's got bourbon, it's got a cool ice. It's served in a cool glass. It looked great as far as presentation wise goes. After it was all put together, it wasn't thrown together in a Quick Trip styrofoam cup, which would knock off some fucking points.
Maybe just a little.
Thank fuck. It might turn to yuck with the taste because we've talked about this before.
Who is it that sings about the red Solo cup?
Some millionaire country
singer. Anyway, I did.
I was actually trying to think of Toby Keith. Does that sound right? All right, cool. He was busy.
It is Toby. It is Toby Keith.
For whatever reason, it went back to that The Voice judge guy. He's with.
That's Blake Shelton.
Blake Shelton. My mind kept flashing his face in my head. Yep, I'm like, no, not him.
Gwen Stefani.
Yes, and she's great. For what she does. I don't really dig her vocals all the time, but she's written some pretty good songs. If you dig into the catalog a little deeper than just whatever they would play on the radio. Bananas fucking trash. But Don't Speak, that was pretty good. That was pretty well written. Anyway, you digress, I digress. Toby Keith, hopefully he's come through on the other side of his health scare. He had a nasty health problem issue thing. Hopefully he's dealing and dealt and he's on the mend on that. I don't wish that shit on anybody, whether I like their music or not. From everything I've heard about the guy, he's a great dude. You know, don't hold that mullet against him. As Gary Allen would say, he's an all right guy. That's enough country.
Business in the front, party in the back.
The Kentucky Waterfall, the Yup Nope, the Ape Drape, Tennessee Top Hat, the El Camino, the hairdo and the hair don't. All right, so I gave it all 5s. 5 on the nose because it smelled good, 5 on the palate because it tasted good, 5 on the finish because after it tasted good, it felt good. Yeah. And the presentation was 5 because it was fucking beautiful when I took a look at it. So that gave me 20 divided by 2, brought me to a 10. And even before that, if I had to give it a 1 out of 10 rating, it would have been a 10 anyway.
All right. Well, I made it, so I was biased and also trying to be a little bit more discriminative with mine. So 4.5 all the way down.
Okay,
so
all right.
Turns into a 9.
A 9. All right. So when you were being a little discerning, maybe not discriminatory, but discerning on your value placement, what was it that brought it from a 5 to a 4.5?
That's a good question. This particular recipe, the combination of ingredient amounts, measurements, is something that I do pretty much for all my old fashions now.
All right.
And I thought the sour mash paired fantastic as a old fashioned. I don't know. I think I just gave it 4.5 because
you're afraid to give it a 5.
I'm afraid. Yep, I'm afraid to.
I think on cocktails. I think on cocktails you're good. You can do that. Just brought my peanut butter brownie over in front of me here that Miss Katie. I think I've had this once before. You
didn't get the privilege of watching and walking through the kitchen while she was making it. And
what did I miss?
Well, you see that it's the chocolate brownie, and then there's the clump of peanut butter right in the middle of it.
Yeah, and that's like peanut butter cookie.
So she poured in the chocolate batter into the pan. Probably. God, it smells so good. Pre-oven, it's probably half-inch thick of the chocolate brownie, and then she made these peanut butter balls. That she rolled these peanut butter balls by hand and then pushed them down into the chocolate.
All right,
and then put it in the oven, and then it bump.
What is it like? You reach a certain age, you don't just laugh out loud. You just wheeze. It's a wheeze laugh. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So she puts
it in the oven, and then as it bakes, it kind of melts itself out, and so
spreads out and combines.
Good.
Meanwhile,
stuff.
We're talking, and my cocktail is my ice is melting a little bit, but that's all right. That's by design because I'm trying to let my my dehydrated orange slice rehydrate a little bit in the cocktail right next to that cherry, that barrel-aged cherry. But yeah, Miss Katie, I've had these once before, and I have no doubt that this is going to be stellar. And it is. This is really good.
Good stuff,
I don't see the salt, but I just tasted it right off the top.
Well, she put it in there before it went in the oven, so it definitely got baked into.
Okay. And peanut butter and chocolate is one of my favorite flavor combinations, period.
I mean, you just can't go wrong.
Right. That is so good. Thank you, Miss Katie, for all you do on and off the mic. We've had her on the mic once.
Yeah.
Or for one night. So, yeah, definitely.
And we're going to get her back down here and figure out what makes the most amount of sense, and I think it's a good idea to do some.
Yeah, she had an interesting idea.
Put some kind of a blind tasting together, and maybe we take that idea and Chandler's idea we set the bottles up. We talk about them, figure out, just looking at the bottle, this is what we think, and then do our full-on blind tasting.
Mm-hmm. I like it. And maybe we could do that with something we haven't tried.
Exactly.
Yeah, without the notes, because I'll think, with the tasting, I'll think I'm tasting something, but I'm probably not. If I'm thinking it's kind of grassy, then that means that there's probably barley in it.
Yeah. And the thing with that I think we'll have to be at least somewhat cognizant of is I feel like we will have to make sure that all of our offerings are in the same category. You know what I mean?
How?
Like we could not have a Scotch and a bourbon and a rye.
That'd be a dead giveaway with the bottles.
It would be a dead giveaway with the bottles, and it would also be a dead giveaway with the tasting.
Yeah.
So we'd have to have all bourbons, all ryes, all Scotches.
But it would be interesting because, my palate is much less defined than yours, and so if you, that would be a good test, right? For
I mean, if you put that Balcones Texas rye in there
with the chocolate flavor and the smokiness, and somehow all the shit that thing had to offer, where do I put this? I have no idea.
Was that rice spice I tasted? Or no, was that?
I thought it was. Can I have another sip? Nope, that's all you get, long hair. Oh, no. Figure it out. Make your choice. And from that point, it'd just be process of elimination by then. But yeah, that's a good idea. Make it all rye or all bourbon, all Scotch, whatever. We haven't done Scotch in a while, have we?
We have not. It is on the list.
It would be good to revisit that.
It's so funny. We started this podcast out, just trying to get week to week. And now all of a sudden, we have an entire calendar that's quickly filling up.
Yeah. We will.
Which is not a bad thing.
We'll come here, we'll record a couple episodes, and sometimes a couple episodes, what we call air quote episodes, will turn into, it's actually just a recording session.
Right.
And then Wizard Fingers W2 will come in here and split it up. If you don't remember Wizard Fingers, it's because we were having some technical mishaps, some gremlins in the system. I would speak into the mic, and then 2 seconds later, everything I said would come right back out of in the headphones, which was really kind of fucking weird. I'd be like, that's really kind of weird. That's really kind of weird. It'd be just like that. And so W2 was over there I think I'm going to try a couple things and fix it. And he did.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And I didn't have to restart the computer. I didn't have to unplug anything. All those classic tech support.
I feel like I was saying something.
Unplug it and wait 30 seconds. Then
disconnect your negative battery cable. I feel like I was saying something, but then I distracted myself by the backstory on the Wizard Fingers. Now I have no idea what I was talking about beforehand.
I don't know.
Fuck it. So, dear listener, if you're looking for a standard cocktail, just pick the old fashioned. It's simple ingredients, and it's really hard to fuck up. This one here has 3 ounces of whiskey, where usually it's 2, sometimes 1. But
you say that, and I 100% agree with you.
He looks at me like he's about to fight. You say that, and I agree with you. Here comes the word.
But
yeah, I knew that was coming.
An old fashioned is the most basic, the simplest cocktail.
Yeah.
But man, I've had some fucked up old fashions before.
You have?
I have. I've had.
Is it because of the spirit put in there, or what fucked it up?
Well, let's recall. Was it Instagram, the Instagram video that you saw that the guy was just throwing the ice cube in the glass and then just slamming it down and fuck it, here you go.
Yeah, because it started off with some snooty. It was like it's like a response kind of, or a reply TikTok video or whatever, where it's split screen, and the original video is playing, and somebody's watching it. It's a reaction video.
Yeah.
So, like, you're watching their facial reactions. And so, like, the dude's starting off with, like, only the best ingredients. You know, he's got, like, a weird mustache or whatever. He's, like, hipster asshole. And so he's like, you like, don't you dare put ice in it at this point. And so, like, whatever. And so, like, she's just watching it. She's trying to take it seriously. And she's like, oh, my God, okay, yes, sir. Whatever, and then the scene flips, and it's some dude just like, you know what? Fuck that guy. This is all it is. Super simple. Throwing his hands around. Notice how I'm not smacking the mic.
Good job.
Throwing it. I've had a little bit of practice. So he's throwing his hands around, and he like takes a handful of ice and he throws it into the cocktail glass.
Yeah, he doesn't just fill the glass up there. He literally like throws it at the glass.
Fucking crams it in there with an angry face. He's got, if we can find that, we got to post it or share it. So, and then, he's like, this is all it takes. And he just grabs a few different bottles, dumps things in, and then he stirs it. He stirs the ever living shit out of it. And it's like, don't put ice in your cocktail glass after stirring it in the pitcher or what the mixing glass or whatever. So he's just like dead faced, looks in the camera.
Yep.
And he's cramming it in the glass. And then he's just like no look hook, just fucking dumping it in there. And she's just cracking up laughing. And I think at that point everybody was laughing.
Yeah. So
simple.
all of
it's
that
as simple
said,
as you want it to be.
All that said, and let's also keep in mind too, at this point in the podcast, we've done a flight of Jim Beam. We've done a wide variety. We've done $22 bottles of whiskey. We've done $100 bottles of whiskey. We've done a wide gamut of price points, of quality, all the above. My next comment is not meant to be upper echelon snooty or anything, but I've had some old fashions where it was the nastiest of nasty bourbon that they have, and they've just dumped in there. No idea what it was. It's put in there with just straight ice maker ice cubes, which there's nothing wrong with that. Right. I've grown to prefer my old fashioned with a single large cube. It melts slower, and so or
at least less ice.
Yeah, it's less ice. It melts slower. Your cocktail doesn't immediately taste watered down, and so anyway, as simple as an old fashioned is, I've had some that were just, and in this adventure of this podcast, I've really gotten into honing the craft of making a good cocktail and what goes into a cocktail. And so that has kind of become the way if I'm just sitting at home by myself, I'm still making a cocktail the exact same way with that little extra care with that, and not just slamming it in there. But I'm also not, pinkies out and,
twisting your mustache, adjusting your monocle to look down on people. Like everybody, everybody's sitting at the table except for the girl, of course, in that rat video, Round and Round.
I forget where I was. I ordered an old fashioned, and I realize now it's partially a little bit of a traditional way to do it, but I had never seen it before. But she put a large ice cube in the glass and then put just straight white table sugar on the ice cube, and then proceeded to pour the bourbon into the glass.
No muddling.
Nothing. And it turned out, yeah, she put some bitters in there. Okay. It turned out okay, but it also just, again, I'm also not making my old fashions with white table sugar.
Right. Yeah, I have yet to do it. I don't think I have white table sugar in my house. I have brown sugar. I have honey, lots of different honeys, maple syrup,
and listeners who are listening and still with us with this. We made this old fashioned with Demerara syrup.
Which is a brown sugar,
yeah,
but it's...
No, I didn't know what the hell Demerara, let alone being able to pronounce it.
It's got more of a richer taste to it.
It took me a handful of episodes to be comfortable to not have to stop and think and then still screw it up. Demerara. I can actually say it, just rolls off my tongue now.
We had to have Google.
I had no idea what Demerara even was, let alone how to pronounce it. It is a raw cane sugar that has a lot of natural caramel and toffee flavors in it. And it's a light brown in color when it's in a cube form, in a granular form. When you turn it into a syrup, it is this deep, rich brown syrup.
And if you followed us for any length of time, you've probably seen it in the skull.
Yeah, the skull container. Much deeper in color than a maple syrup, even. But yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed it because, I mean...
Yeah, absolutely.
The Demerara syrup has... And I've used maple syrup for my old fashions for a long, long time now. And I've completely replaced it with my homemade Demerara syrup. So
your homemade Demerara simple syrup is a new standard.
It is, and that's made with a 2-to-1 ratio. So it's 2 cups of Demerara sugar to 1 cup water. I stumbled upon it. I had seen and heard the mention of Demerara syrup before. I had no clue as to what it was. I stumbled upon it because when I ordered my groceries one week, I was specifically looking for white sugar cubes because I was going to do a white sugar cube in the glass, doused in bitters, and then a little bit splash of water, muddle it down, and then add your whiskey in on top of that. They were out of your standard white sugar cubes, and their substitution was Demerara rough cubes. So that they weren't perfect cubes; they were just like shards, like little pieces of that,
like pea gravel,
kind of
hail
big
looking.
Yeah, like
different sizes,
gravel
kind
of pieces, just rough chunks. And so I've got a marble rolling pin that I use to just crush it down into a little bit more of a granular form. Dropped it in boiling water on the stove, and just not boiling but simmering, because that's the important part. When you're making a simple syrup, if it becomes a hard boil at any point, you've just gone from syrup to candy. And so it's a fine line between just dissolving it down and keeping it as a syrup and making it into a candy consistency.
Yeah, and you don't want that. You just want the syrup.
Just want the syrup. And then you let it cool back down to room temperature, and you pour it into your cool skull glass.
Yeah. Maybe we'll put those on the affiliate thing.
We need to. That was a great Amazon find, thanks to you.
Yeah, right, yeah, because you just bought some simple syrup bottles, didn't you? Or like you were going to? You were looking at them?
I had not bought them yet, and you were like, well, you should get these, Mr. Skull.
Yeah, he's got everything else Skull. Why wouldn't he get Skull simple syrup bottles or whatever? You just ate that cherry, didn't you?
Man, they're so good.
Yeah, so the dehydrated orange slice, I mean, while we're talking about things on the affiliate list through Amazon, we do have a link to these, but the dehydrated orange, after it's sat in the cocktail for a little while, is an unexpected delight at the end of it. You just fold that in half. You can't hear it, didn't make any noise, but then you bite into it, chew it up. It's so good.
It's like a potato chip.
Whoops. There we go. I hit the mic this time. They're so good. Definitely good. Delicious. So yeah, we're going to take a look around and see what all we can add to our little store list. But yeah, dear listener, if you're looking for a great cocktail to serve to your friends and family at your next gathering, look no further than the Old Fashioned. And if you have access, which you probably can, to the Michter's Sour Mash, which retails for roughly $45 for an entire bottle of it, 750 milliliter bottle of it, you really can't go wrong.
No,
it's got a lot of different flavors to work with, and if you're just looking for a regular, bourbon, go a little step further than just regular plain old bourbon. Like if your regular plain old bourbon is like for me like Jim Beam, step it up and go with the Michter's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
Or if you like riding the fence, if you like a good bourbon and you also like a good rye,
sour mash is the best of both worlds.
Right
there are
the
other sour mashes, and like you said, you've had some old fashions that just they weren't that great. And with that said, I think I'm going to finish off my cocktail. Whoops, I thought it splashed. Maybe it didn't.
And that cherry.
Yeah, that cherry's down there. Try to work the stem around. There it is. So good.
Magic.
Fuck. That's the magic that makes the spell work. That is so good. So good. Once again, dear listener, thank you for listening to the Savor the Burn podcast. If you're looking for a great cocktail to serve to your family and friends, look no further than the Old Fashioned. It's simple to make. There are a few different variants of it. There's a lot of different ways to make it, but just use the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. And if you want to make it a little more involved, you want to make it the Savor the Burn version of it, that's fine. We can help you out with that. Just go to savortheburn.com and check out the cocktails or recipes page that the Wizard Fingers W2 has put together. And definitely check that out.
I'll be adding this one on there.
Yes.
I mean, at this point, we already have a old-fashioned on the cocktail list, but I'm going to add this one on there specifically for the sour mash.
Yeah, and because there's probably going to be multiple versions of each cocktail that we do. And
actually, now that I think about it, the last time we did an old-fashioned for the cocktail section of the website, it's probably listed with maple syrup. So it'll be a good opportunity to add this as a revised old-fashioned with the Demerara syrup.
I like it. Definitely check that out, savortheburn.com. And make sure to subscribe and follow on all things podcast apps, including but not limited to Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcast, Google, Samsung, Amazon Music, and many, many more. Continue to subscribe and follow on all socials, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and especially YouTube, where we're doing the giveaway. If you want more information on that, check out our socials and check out savortheburn.com. Email us info or Jonathan or W2 at savortheburn.com, depending on where you want to direct your emails. If you think I'm an idiot, send it to Jonathan. If you think Wizard Fingers W2 is spot on with his assessments, be sure to let him know. W2 at savortheburn.com. Or if you just want to send a general email, telling the podcast just how great everything is, info at savortheburn.com. We love hearing back from you guys, and we've heard back from you guys a couple of times, and it's been nothing but fun, nothing but great. So no matter what you're drinking, what cocktail you're fixing, who you're with, what you're doing, where you are, always remember, dear listener, to keep on burning.